Hey guys, today uh I think maybe like a month ago I did uh worst figures in my collection, the worst like top 5 figures in my collection. Well, since we're past that now, same rules apply. Still has to be in my collection, and then I'll continue on with best figures of the year after this. But uh we don't have to deal with worse anymore. We are today working with the best figures in my collection at this point in time. Uh, there are two figures in the lineup that I just didn't want to dig out of my collection, off the shelves, because they were taller figures and they're really far in the back, and I just didn't want to take everything off in front of them just to pull them out to have this little snidbit. I will do reviews on them because it'll be longer, but for just talking briefly about them, I don't think I'm gonna. I just didn't see it. I didn't see what was worth it. Uh, so opposed to it was, I feel like it was fairly. It was a lot easier to figure out my top uh, top 10 best figures in my collection than it was to find the 5 worst figures in my collection at this point in time. I thought it was a lot easier. Uh, so we might as well get to 10. Get on with the list. So number 10, and I will reach over to the side. I have them lined up in the way that I want them. And so yeah, I will get to. I'll reach over and I'll grab them whenever it comes to their time. But the 10th one in at the spot is at the number 10 spot is Armada Jetfire, and I I he may now I will say his like super link mode, or uh the lower body mode for Optimus. I think that's kind of his weakest form, but obviously if you don't have Optimus, that really doesn't mean too much. But I I don't have the chest plate for him for the Optimus combination, and I don't have him here because he's a fairly tall figure and I just didn't want to take him out. But I just really like him. He has the nice you can open up the hatches on him, since he's a space shuttle, a very nice space shuttle. And you can open those up, and you can see like the solar system and stuff like that. I think it's done in like a goldish paint, so it like pops through his white paint, his white plastic. But he's got, like all Unicron trilogy figures, he just has nice dense plastic, stiff ratchets, and he's just I just like it. He's a fairly tall figure. I think he's a fairly tall figure, especially with his wings. I just really like him. His shuttle mode's nice. His robot mode's nice. I like his face. It really captures the cartooniness of him in the show. Just that nice little cute face, like that little cartoony face. I just really like it, and it's a nice. He doesn't have too much articulation in the legs, but he has nice big bulky boots for legs, nice little stumpy arms. I just like him. I don't know how much he goes for on like eBay and places like that. But I just like him. He's just nice and big and dense, and his transformation's fairly good. It's not the greatest, but it's fun. I remember I got him at a flea market, and I messed with him the like entire weekend that I have him. Like, he was just so big and bulky, and he had a decent transformation. He was just fun. But he was good without just being fun. He looks good on a shelf, and he's not just a fun toy. He's a nice looking toy, and he's the number 10. He takes the number 10 slot for best. So I that's it for number 10. Let's move on to number 9. So this is number 9. Punch Counter Punch. G1. And I have done a review on him. And, he's still a nice looking. He doesn't have the greatest robot modes, but man, that car mode is good. The robot modes are decent, but man, I messed with this guy's transformation. I couldn't help not to just pull him off the shelf and transform him. And if this guy can having such a cool gimmick, being such a cool style character, and having a nice transformation, looking decent in robot mode, having a good car mode, a very nice looking car mode, I just really, really, really like him. Just the only fact is that he's expensive. He's number 1 a G1 figure, and he's not he's like a rare, quote unquote rare, figure. But I just really, really like him. He's just super solid for being an old G1 toy. And he's just fun. He looks good, he's fun, and he's I don't know. He's just fun. He's just a really nice figure. And that's really all I gotta say for him, is that they really nailed his car mode, his transformation, and did a fairly good job on his robot modes. So I feel like he was pretty deserving of the number 9 slot. Now number 8. This is I think it's Classics. Generations. I think this is Generations Optimus Prime. I'm pretty sure. This is the reissued one for Age of Extinction, I think, but basically the same concept. But he's obviously a very updated Prime. He was very updated G1 Prime. Obviously, he has the little kibble flaps from the doors on the side of his arms, but I don't really care. But I think one of the things that I have to say is that this Prime was probably one of the best, probably the Prime for everybody when it came out. A G1, a fairly decent G1 looking Prime, and yet he's modern. He's got a waist swivel, well, technically 2 waist swivels, but he's modern. He's a good figure. But I just think that for being an older figure, being a chug figure, I think he is definite, and I think he's just worth as one of the best Optimus Prime toys of all time. He has that iconicness, I think. And that's all I gotta say, is he still has the Optimus Prime feel, but he looks new, but he has that old with him. And I think that's it for him. So he takes up the number 8 slot. So let's go on to number 7. This is my number 7. And this is my Transformers Masterpiece. And it is Transformers Masterpiece Generation 2 Sideswipe. It doesn't matter what kind of Sideswipe you get, as long as it's this mold. Unfortunately, mine is a knockoff, because you can tell by the legs, just super loose, and he's a knockoff. That's all there is to say. But knockoffness aside, and him being a knockoff, I really like it for being a masterpiece figure. I haven't really messed with any masterpiece figures, but I know that a lot of masterpiece figures have very intuitive and nice transformations. I get that, and that's why I want a lot of the older ones, is that they have nice intuitive transformations. They're enjoyable, but this one is basically, the Sideswipe mold is basically an updated version of the G1. And I can really see that. He looks very nice, especially him. I really like the black and red and the accents of white. I really, really like him. But he's fun. I can sit down and transform him, and he looks good. He poses good. Obviously, not mine because he's a knockoff and his joints are super loose. But it's a nice figure for having nice posability, looking very nice in both modes, and then he can transform and be enjoyable. Like, I can sit down and transform him, not like I have to put time into him. Not saying that any of the other enjoyable figures like Ultra Magnus, MP10 are bad, but they are still good and they're not frustrating. But this guy is just very, very enjoyable. Like, I can sit down and I want to transform him. I can transform him while I'm, like, watching TV or, like, watching YouTube or even talking with somebody, because he is, like, that sort of fun. And he looks good and has good accessories. I didn't pull the accessories out, but I like the accessories and I like his face. Just, he's all mad. But I just like him for being a very fun but yet accurate representation of Sideswipe or Red Alert or G2 Sideswipe or whatever. But I like him for that. And I think that is why he takes number 7. So, on to number 6. And here is Crosswise. I have done a video on Crosswise, and I like him. I feel like he might be one of the best car formers, like, guys to transform from a car into a robot ever. He looks nice. He is Kibbly. He has the windshield, the doors and the windshield. He has the doors and the windows and the windshield for a shield. He may have those wheels and the running boards, and the wheels, but I just really like how his legs just, like, fold forward, and his chest and head are on this big armature that folds up into his chest cavity. And, it's a Unicron Trilogy figure. He's nice and dense. That clear plastic, you don't have to be afraid. You can rough him around, you can transform him, and he will not break. You could probably chuck this guy at a wall. Any Unicron Trilogy figure, you could chuck him at a wall, and they just get back up. And you could keep playing with him or display him again. And I just really like him. I like his character, but he's a very, very nice, has a very, very cool and very nicely engineered transformation. Because I don't think there are at least what I've seen, any other car formers that do it like he does. Obviously the repaints of him. But he just has that, he looks good in vehicle mode and robot mode. He poses good because he's got ball joints, which are fairly universal. And they're still fairly stiff. But that transformation, I just really like it. It's a very cool idea. Instead of the arms just coming out, the legs shifting down from the rear end of it, and then the front flipping down, and then the hood flipping down to reveal his head. I just really like how they took his transformation, and I think he's got to be in the number 6 spot. Now, number 5, halfway. I think it's got to be Titan's Return, Twinferno, or Double Cross. I think it's got to be him because he looks perfect in both modes. His Dragon mode looked good. His Robot mode looks good. His Titan Master, his face looks good as his head, but his Titan Master, ooh, it's got a nice sculpting on him. On the little Titan Master when he's transformed. He's got good articulation. He looks gnarly. And he's just cool. He looks like a Decepticon, but he's really an Autobot. And he just looks cool. He's got a good transformation, good articulation, looks good in both modes. And I just really like him. Only unfortunate thing is the legs of his Dragon mode were flip-flopped on mine, so his right leg is on his left leg, and his left leg is on his right leg. So his legs are backwards when he's in his beast mode. But I don't know. Really, the only thing that he is lacking, and yet I truly don't care, is a waist swivel. Mine's a little wobbly, but I think that's not a deal breaker. But I was really excited when I got him. He just was a very, very nice figure. And he still is today. And I think that he's like 4 years old, maybe. 3 or 4 years old, I think. Maybe 5. I don't know. Don't quote me on any of those years. But I just really, really like him. And that transparent plastic, that smoky transparent plastic, still really tough. It's nothing brittle. But there's Twinferno. I just really like him. Really excited when I got him, and I really like him now. So that's number 5. Okay. Number 4 is Kingdom Dinobot. So, just for the record, I am a little biased because I love Dinobot as a character, but not even trying to bring in biasness, is that this figure, is one of the best figures I have ever seen. He has good articulation, good robot mode, good beast mode, and boy, is that transformation. I really, really like the transformation. It's not hard, it's not difficult, but it's still intuitive, and it gets you in there and to work with it. And I really like that they rebooted him. That they rebooted him for the Kingdom line. I just really, really like him. And that texturing for the Dino mode, I really like it. He is just super, super cool. And since he's new, you can still find him. And I can just say, if you find this guy, get him. And from now on, we are to the point where if you see this guy, see any of these figures up on until number 1, buy them. Because they are just fun, cool, and look good doing it. So, I just really, really like him. And there are upgrade kits for him, to give him his, the guns from the one episode that he used them, and the hammer from Code of Hero. But I just really, really like him. And, I got nothing else to say. Is that he just looks good in both modes, transforms good, and good articulation. So, that's number 4, on to number 3. And this is the other one that does not have his figure. And boy, it is Transformers Combiner Wars Leader Ultra Magnus. Number 1 of all, there is only one other Ultra Magnus two other Ultra Magnuses that transform with their trailer, and not with the white Optimus Prime. It is Masterpiece and Titanium. And Kingdom, Ultra Magnus really hits it. He looks perfect. I think he's more IDW based, but he looks good. He looks very nice in both modes, truck and robot mode. And he has a good transformation. He has a good articulation. I just really, really like Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. And I just remember when I got him, I was so excited. I cracked the box open, and he was fun. He had a good transformation. He posed well. He was just, he's very light, but the plastic is very nice. And I just really, really like him. And especially, it helps that there was so much trash that Hasbro put out in Combiner Wars of remodels and repaints and retools and whatever. And the glorious mold of of the Combiner Wars Lear Ultra Magnus rose up from the ashes and sat itself down as one of my favorite and coolest figures of all time.